Good day, my name is Grant Abbott and I am from Musgrave Harbor. I'll be reading from the script because I'm a covert stutterer and I would like to be sure that I use the words I intend to say. I'll be running for councillor in the next election. My family has been terrorized by two employees of the town council and their clique. It's very sad. I've decided to document my experiences on YouTube because as a person running for council, this is an obstruction of politics and elections. I've been coerced by very few people to back out of the race. All of my issues have arisen from my business dealings with the town hall, and these confidential details, lies, and opinions have been discussed and expressed by the employees and their friends and family, which is contrary to the majority of employment contracts where people are employed as a public-facing representative. Since the very beginning, I have contended that this has nothing to do with the individuals on the council or its employees, but all of this has done nothing to deter the backlash from their friends and family. Presenting the facts and putting a lifeline out to the employees has not helped resolve the matter. Since the beginning, I have been very careful not to refer directly to the two individuals in the public message so that they should not be identified easily by someone outside of the know. This whole issue is about my business dealings with the town of Musgrave Harbor and the intricacies and private matters being shared publicly by the employees of the town while they express their opinions and lies about me and my family. I won't mix words and concepts, but I will go as far to say that my intentions and expression has always been aligned with the betterment of the community and not to point at any individual. Except for public domain information such as what was said by elected individuals in a public meeting or directly to me, nothing has been said about anybody in any disparaging way other than the offenses brought against me and my family. My disposition is and always has been for the betterment of the community, and that there must be some sort of mistake, and that once these two people are aware of the mistake, we could make amends and move on. It is clear, though, through my continued expression of this, that the message is not getting through. My recent attempt to get the town council to take control of their employees because of their public-facing positions has failed. There was a council meeting called in response to the letter that I wrote. It was unscheduled, called a public meeting, but the public was not aware of it occurring, nor invited. I have requested that they call an emergency meeting so that the details of my letter could be spoke about in private. They could make amends with me, and then have a public meeting with the resulting motions and discussions, while ensuring privacy of these two individuals. I attempted to give a route of escape for these two individuals without them taking responsibility or guilt, but that was not accepted. The town council reviewed my letter in a private, public meeting. Discussion was pro and con about whether this falls within an employee matter. No motion was carried on the decision in any detail. It was mentioned and decided that the deputy mayor, decided that the deputy mayor, Sheldon Gillum, would write a letter, but the content of the letter was not decided upon. There were no motions on the matter. No motions were passed as to the content, and no majority quorum decision was made to who supports the content of the letter. I understand that this letter will be disputed by some councillors and rejected, in order to be clear who stands by this letter and who does not. It may sound minor, but it matters everything in the world. The whole premise of how a council is supposed to be run is voting and agreement. No such activities were performed on my matter. If this public meeting was recorded and shared on the internet the next day, like most other towns do, it will be clear as to what occurred in the meeting. Transparency is a major problem in this community and other communities, I'm sure. Therefore, I am providing clarity and transparency. I'm posting my letter to the town council and their response, in hopes to clear up the lies that I am looking to get these individuals dismissed. It has never been about the individual, and this sounds like an echo. Even my most recent letter intended to give the employees a way to keep their jobs. A little birdie told me that they're going around telling people that I'm trying to get them fired. They are manipulating the truth and speaking about private matters in public. This will never fly in another corporation. The town of Musgrave Harbor is a corporation, and you are their shareholders. The town's reply that they are not responsible for their employees outside of working hours is despicable. This is the type of behavior that we do not want in this community. We all need to stand up against this because this is just one iteration of how the community members are treated by the town council. Since I have announced running for council, I have heard numerous sad and offensive stories resulting from the interactions with the town council and its citizens. The town council answers to you. Transparency will prevent this shadiness and lies. Let's read the letter together. Refer to the PDF letter addressed to the mayor and councilors. So let me just pull open this letter that I wrote to the town. So I've included this, and information has been redacted for the privacy of the two individuals. It's clear that I need to share this information, but I'm still contesting that I'd like to protect these individuals and give them the opportunity to back off and cease and desist. So, as I stated, this will be the last opportunity before I release all of the information for total clarity and transparency. August the 10th, 2021. Dear Mayor and Councilors, please read this letter in its entirety during your emergency council meeting and have the details added to the minutes. It is very obvious to the community as well as to all of you on council that two of your employees, blank blank and blank blank, herein referred to as parties or party when mentioned together, are inciting violence and abusive actions or participating in such against Grant Abbott, his family, and property. Grant Abbott and family have had 2 incidents of property damage as well as physical visitations to our property by blank in response to business interactions with the town of Musgrave Harbor, and blank has expressed opinions on Grant Abbott's involvement in business with blank, who is the blank. Grant Abbott and family feel that these actions are directed by said parties and they are unwarranted. It is asked of you, the council and employers of said parties, to make motion and agree to direct the parties to cease and desist any personal interaction with Grant Abbott and the immediate family of Grant Abbott outside of council business or chanced de-escalated interactions. It is asked of you, the council and employers of said parties, to make motion and agree to direct the party to advise all of their supporters to cease actions against Grant Abbott and family by correcting any aggressive position held by said parties, and further advise the parties that they are subject to employment considerations, including discipline or termination of employment because of these claims of inciting violence and intimidation. It is asked of you, the council, and the employers of said parties to make motion and agree to write the employees up with conditional warning letter that if any proof of aggression against Grant Abbott or his family, or if the said parties incur a criminal record as a result of interacting with Grant Abbott or his family, that this would result in immediate termination of employment without notice and with as minimal severance pay as provided to the parties as stipulated by law. It is asked of you, the council and employers of said parties, to make motion and agree that this occurrence and any future suspicious direct, violent, or aggressive occurrence actions towards Grant Abbott and his family, whether or not immediate responsibility can be determined, be responded to with an emergency private council meeting to discuss the details about said event, resulting in a subsequent meeting with resolutions about said event. Let it also, but most especially, be shown in the council minutes that nothing has ever been personal from Grant Abbott's perspective. The engagement was meant to be about community growth, but it turned into something ugly in less than a month due to personal insecurities and subsequent reaction to those insecurities by blank. That being said, we think this whole situation will turn into something beautiful when it's realized that Grant Abbott is not the enemy, and we don't think the other parties or the council are the enemy either. This is either something fishy going on that I'm obliviously and inadvertently disturbing, or there's a mistake by those who perceive my actions as threatening. On the flip side of self-preservation, though, we are strongly advising the council that because it is obvious that this whole issue is coming from the direction of the corporation of the town of Musgrave Harbor, we want to be clear that you are responsible for your employees' action and need to deal with this as a business, or risk legal action and public exposure from Grant Abbott and his family against those who can be held responsible at the town of Musgrave Harbor, including said parties. We don't intend this letter to result with dismissal unless further aggression is delivered from said parties. Our heart and soul tells us that we can work together and put this mistake behind us. We've been very careful not to mention anything to identify said parties, but we will not hesitate to release all communications and information about repeated assaults and suspected connections with your employees if we cannot resolve this matter immediately. The only way we can resolve this is to call a truce. If agreed, I will make a fair video statement while not disclosing any personal information and not throwing anyone under the bus anonymously. That it was all a big misunderstanding, and we had moved on without any implication of guilt. And I say here, now that we've gone this far, welcome. Let's go the rest of the way together and heal. Please reply to me in postal letter via registered mail as I have delivered this message. I look forward to your reply after your emergency meeting. Now, let's take a look at the response to the letter from the Town Council. So this was dated on the 16th. It says, Grant Abbott, P.O. Box, whatever, Musgrave Harbor, and it says, Dear Grant, your letter dated August the 10th, 2021 was discussed at a council meeting on August the 12th, 2021. The Town Council is unaware of any actions taken by our employees while at work that would be described as inciting violence and abusive actions and or participating in such, as you state in your letter. Concerns of this nature would be best brought to the attention of the authorities by you, and they have. They're going to be knocking on your door very shortly if they haven't already. Also, in your letter, you state, we are strongly advising council that because it is obvious that the whole issue is coming from the direction of the corporation of the town of Musgrave Harbor, we are strongly disappointed that you believe the town of Musgrave Harbor is somehow involved in illegal actions, and we very well may consider the legal ramifications of you accusing us of such. Thank you, Sheldon Gillum, Deputy Mayor. Now, not that I actually care, but just to point out the respect concept. I'm addressed as Dear Grant, as opposed to Mr. Abbott. In the council chamber, they ensure that they're all referred to by Mr. Mayor, Mr. Deputy, Sir and Madam Councillor, not by their first names, unless they make a mistake or they're speaking out of turn. But generally, if you're being respectful, they always refer to each other as their title. This letter says that they're unaware of any actions taken by our employees while at work. It is incorrect that the council is unaware of actions taken by their employees because there have been discussions in the chamber about employees' opinions on my interaction with the town, and it is clear that there's a vendetta against me. There have also been veiled threats against me during council meetings and among employees, councillors, and the public. My report on the town council meeting where I quoted individuals showed that there is a disregard for me and extension to you, the public. My intention was honorable and fair, and such a response is unprofessional and not fitting for a public-facing employee of the town. Now, they're having to say that this has, from the beginning, has been honorable and fair, and so on. The council missed the important facts of my letter, much like they have missed important points in all of my communications, that this matter comes from the individuals expressing their opinion on my interaction with the employees on town business matters. Details about town business should only be presented in the council meetings and in minutes. The deputy mayor goes on and speaks for the whole council and says we are strongly disappointed that you believe the town of Musgrave Harbor is somehow involved in legal actions, and we may very well consider the legal ramifications of accusing us of such. It is clear in my letter that I'm saying that the town is responsible because their employees are talking about business, which is instigating violence and abusive actions against my family. I would like to be clear on this threat to bring me to court, that no matter what legal action you bring forward to me, I will always speak the truth, and I would let the community know what is happening. So you must be careful to not say anything that you don't want the public to hear. So if I do get a cease and desist letter, that letter as well will be posted to the internet. If anything else happens, no matter how small, this will result in full disclosure to the community as to the identity of the employees, as well as the clear threats online and those who supported them. In the face of all this, I am not backing down. I am still running for councillor of Musgrave Harbor, and I appreciate your support in letting the community know you support me by putting your X on my square on election day. Thank you so much.